So here, Rick Glaser. How you doing? First off,
Not bad. It's a beautiful Monday in Williamsville, New York, and happy to be on your show for the first time.
all right, man. Good to have you. So let's get right into it. Crawford, Spence. There were rumors that they were going to fight in November. Fell through, or if it did even fall through. Now a lot of people who are pro Spence, they'll blame the Crawford side. A lot of people who are pro Crawford, they'll blame the Spence side. What do you think is the main reason why this fight's not happening next?
Neither. It's Al Heyman.
Yeah.
It's just plain and simple. He stalled this process forever. Terence started out asking for, big money, and they made him an offer of 35%, and he jumped on it, and they were shocked. They didn't know what to do. They backed up because they were trying not to do this fight and blame Crawford, and they're still blaming Crawford. But in reality, I don't think Spence is in on it. I think that Al Heyman's poo-pooed this thing. When a guy's not taking any guarantees, taking a sole percentage of the net profits, he's entitled to a veto on expenses through a proxy. In other words, through an attorney or somebody of knowledge. Okay. And he's also entitled to see the gross revenues and with the revenue streams, the gross revenues, and he's entitled to see the net profits, where the expenses versus the revenues, where the net profits came from, and Heyman's denying him that rights. Well, he's entitled to that. So that's all there is to it. People say he's not entitled to it because he's not a promoter. He is because he's not laying out the money. That's all bullshit. His sole course of revenue in that fight is the net profits of that show, versus which is the gross revenues versus the expenses, and he's entitled to all that. That's all there is to it. And Heyman just threw up so many roadblocks not to make this fight, because he feels his client's not going to win. He's trying to leverage Spence with Wilder and these other people, these other fighters, in a package deal to go with another network or streaming app, and he needs every commodity he can get. He's got another problem. Here's what it is. Crawford beat all the B fighters that, what's his name, had a whole bunch, John Molina, trying to think of them all. Felix Diaz. Then he beat one A fighter with one A fighter,
which was
right, but just total along the way. And now he beat Porter at 47, which is an A side guy for Heyman. And Spence has beaten all these fighters except Thurman, because he hasn't fought Thurman. And if Crawford comes along and beats Spence, like most boxing people think, then his product will look like Mickey Mouse League, minor league. So he doesn't want to do that, trying to leverage this deal. He's got no Fox next year going forward. He's got no Fox. They're supposedly done. It's been said by multiple people that he's done with Fox, that Fox is done with him. And Showtime's on last legs. They're rating. They just did a show, 175,000 homes or something on Saturday night regular premium cable. It's just awful. And Showtime is owned by CBS, and CBS owns the Paramount app. And there's a directive from CBS corporate to push the app, and they're going to probably down Showtime at the end of 2023, I believe, and switch a lot of the programming over to the Paramount app. Now, I'm not saying you're going to take boxing over, because it's $2, $3, $4 million a show, $5 million a show for boxing. They might not do it at all. Who knows? Who knows if they take Espinoza with them, because those streaming executives are much younger than the TV executives. And what's really happening there is that maybe they won't want a guy who's in his 50s like a Espinoza, who's deeply entrenched in boxing. I don't know. Maybe they take him over and he's an attorney for CBS. Who knows? We don't know, but none of it spells good for Heyman.
Right. I guess what you're saying is it's not Errol Spence who's ducking him. He's afraid of losing. You're saying Heyman, he's worried about losing his position.
Correct.
But
It's nothing to do with Errol Spence and Crawford. People got to get that
right.
out of their thick skulls. Okay. And he jerked the final jerking was when Floyd Mayweather declared himself a partner of PBC on October 7th, I believe, and did an interview on Fight Hype and said, this fight's not happening. Maybe next year.
Right.
Whoa.
Right.
What was Crawford going to do? Stand there and not feed his family for the year? Remember something. Earl Spence and Crawford can't get a dime in endorsements. They don't get any money for public appearances. They're not around for their charm or their good looks, either of them. So they have to fight.
Yeah.
Okay. They have to fight. And he had this opportunity to fight. Now there's another misconception. He picked David Azavani like he's a soft touch. No, the promoter says no, that's not true. We're going to give you X, and this is who you're going to fight if you want to do this fight. So it was the app, the BLK Prime app that determined that.
Right, I'm saying he's in the top 10 in ring. I'm saying he's not like a soft touch. He's a legit fighter.
He's the European champion. He's greatly improved since his couple losses that he had years ago. Greatly improved. Conor Benn, Eddie Hearn won't even let him in the same building as Conor Benn, let alone the same ring. So there's your answer right there. He's a legit fighter. People got to stop calling this a tune-up bout, and he's a Euro bum and all this stuff. The problem with all the mentality is everybody thought they were getting Spence and Crawford versus each other. And now everybody's disappointed. So there's a lot of blowback. Well, blow up your ass, because to tell you the truth, it's a legitimate fight. And I have no complaints with this fight whatsoever.
Right. And Eddie Hearn, you brought up Eddie Hearn. He said in a recent interview that Crawford and Spence are not really such big stars the way they perceive themselves or the way a lot of their hardcore fans perceive themselves. That's a big fight, a huge fight, the biggest fight for us hardcore boxing fans. But for the general public, like I could go in the street, they won't know who Crawford is or Spence. They're not household names. Does that kind of hurt their chances of making this fight happen even next year or the year?
Of course. I don't think it ever happens. I think the ship has sailed.
I think the ship has sailed.
That he loses one of his titles, and Crawford say, hey, you're not undisputed anymore, or the fight's not worth as much because it's not undisputed. You know, Heyman will come up with that excuse. Who knows? I don't know. Listen, I may get paid for my opinions daily in professional boxing, but that being said, I don't know how other people are thinking right now. I don't see it happening. Maybe it happens, but they won't be in their prime. Let's put it that way to you.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. They're already getting older. I mean, Crawford's 35, I think, right now, and Spence is 33. Yep. So they're already getting older. I know they're both undefeated.
And time stands still for no one. So there's your answer.
Yeah, and if they keep fighting other people, I mean, they're bound to get upset, especially if, I don't think they would do this, but if they fight Ennis or someone like that who's on the come up, because he's a mandatory for one of Spence's belts. Is that not the IBF, right?
Yes, he is. And then Stanionis is the mandatory for the WBA.
Right. So, I mean, who knows if they even are undefeated if they keep going down this road.
Correct. And then don't forget Crawford, after this fight, if he doesn't fight Spence, his mandatory is Virgil Ortiz, who's no joke. So they're running in the young lions, too.
Right. So I guess the whole blame Bob Arum, that was, off the table.
Please. And there was all that LDBC, Heymanite, what are they? The Agenda Crew, Earl Sexuals. That's what all that is. You know what I'm saying? It's not reality. Bob Arum has made the biggest fights in fucking history. Okay, the list is endless. Going back to the Ali days, going back to Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran. And talk about the other side of the street. Bob Arum and Don King made the biggest fights together. Okay, Al Heyman's always the roadblock. Okay, always the roadblock. Okay, he's the great obstructionist. He's the ruination of professional boxing in America.
And you get that? You get that, Joey? I got it. No, I'm saying he's so concerned with Spence. Because I'm asking, I kind of know what you say because I follow you on Twitter. I'm asking for the the people. So that's I'm
Yeah,
asking for
the
he's so
handwriting's on the.
concerned with a loss that Spence that would like I don't think a loss would ruin Spence. Like Wilder's still popular. Like you still get a fan base.
It would ruin the PBC brand. Okay, it would kill the PBC brand. It didn't help that Wilder got face got lost twice to Fury and got face planted.
Of course, no, of course, a loss hurts, but I guess he doesn't think he could get Crawford for like a long-term deal, like a 3-fight deal or something like that.
Crawford won't sign. Crawford doesn't trust the man. How can Crawford trust this guy? Really? Would you trust him?
I mean, I guess the question is, where's Crawford go? Because he's not going to be with Top
Rank.
He can go anywhere.
He can go anywhere. He's just fighting David Haney. He's going to go fight Vergil Ortiz. Where does he have to go? He's going somewhere. You'll get at least $6 million, at least $6 million to fight Ortiz, at least. Okay, look at the payday he's getting here. It's not 10
That's
million.
That's what I wanted to ask you. That 10 million's not real?
It's not 10 million. It's a sizable amount of money, and it's very, very good. Don't get me wrong. It's worth doing, but it's not 10 million. That's ridiculous.
Right, because he's never had 10 million his whole career. I don't think up to this.
No.
Yeah, so that I guess the question really is if you're not going to be with Top Rank or PBC, so he's going to fight Vergil, then he's going to fight, this fight. Maybe
by the time he beats Vergil, if he beats, I'm sure.
Would they do the fight? Vergil's team, would they take a fight with Crawford if they're on the come up?
That's why they're the mandatory, aren't they? They pushed for the mandatory. Okay. They fought in an eliminator against Michael McKinson, right?
Yeah, he did. No, he had a recent problem, right? Vergil, he didn't make the 147, and then he had to pull out.
I don't think that was the issue. I think that he had a medical malfunction, some kind of medical issue, and that caused him to pull out. The rumor was the weight. The rumor was the weight, but that wasn't really the reason.
Yeah, I guess with PBC you have a lot more options, and that's kind of why Spence has been able to build his profile because you have all these options. You can fight Thurman, Stanionis, even if he goes to 54, you got a lot more options. You have Tony Harrison, all these guys.
Tony Harrison, yesterday's news. Can't even.
Of course. I'm just saying, there's more to do. And Crawford, he's kind of burnt that bridge with Top Rank. That seems done. So, I guess that's really the question. It's just disappointing. And if it's a 50-50 fight, I know you think that Crawford would win. I think Crawford would win. There are a lot of people out there that would say Spence would win as well. So. I guess from a hardcore boxing standpoint,
the boxing insiders, the real boxing guys, the old school boxing, everybody that I've talked to says that Crawford will win.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he brings more to the table. But
more versatile, number one. Okay, 100%. And he's got more of a killer instinct. Don't forget one thing. He fought Ugas, and he was wobbling all over the place, and Ugas just stood there and looked at him. I don't think Crawford's going to stand there and look at him when he wobbles him.
That's true, but I guess in the flip, people say, well, Kavliasky's dropped Crawford, so what if Spence hits him? So, it's one fight to another. It's not, it doesn't, it's not a 1-on-1. But I guess the thing is really, you're saying it's Al Haymon, not Spence, not Crawford. He won't take that risk. That's really what it comes down to. He's not willing to take that risk. Could Spence just tell him, listen, I want the fight so bad, make it happen anyways? Does he?
Well, Spence is doing that. And Al's telling you, but this guy's throwing roadblocks at me when it's Haymon throwing the roadblocks. Listen, all you need to know is this. Crawford hired a second attorney to make the fight. The first one wasn't capable of doing it or able to do it or whatever, how you want to explain it. And the second one, he brought a second attorney and paid a second attorney. So there's your answer right there.
And it's very tough to really get a gauge on Al Haymon because he never does interviews. He never does anything. So you kind of always, it leaves everyone speculating.
He's the Carlos Gambino of professional boxing.
What do you mean by that?
Everything's done in secrecy.
Right.
You don't see Bob Arum, Eddie Hearn, and Oscar and them conducting their business that way, do you?
Well, no. Eddie Hearn's in every interview we could possibly do,
and Bob Arum and Oscar, and Don King when he was big. It's the way the business is conducted. But this guy wants to hold it in back rooms and clandestine atmosphere. And well, guess what? Now he's got a failing ship.
That's right. That's the question, I guess, because you were saying this on Twitter, and it appeared over the last few years he had all the big stars in American boxing, not all, but a lot of the bigger names. And you're saying there's no more Fox. Showtime's not doing so well with PBC. Where do they go from here?
He's trying to leverage these guys like Spence and these guys to do a new deal. I'm going to tell you something. And I think some of these networks going forward are not going to do multi-million-dollar deals per show with events. They can put on a great event for 500,000 and draw a couple 100,000 people. They don't need to come up with 5 million to draw 400,000 people. That's not good business.
Right, and he's. I mean, do you think this is part of the reason why he's doing so many pay-per-views over the last year or so?
But yeah, because he's burnt all the bridges, and there's not enough money to go around from the network. So he's got to drum up money from the pay-per-view sales, and he's losing money in every show.
Okay, so I guess it's really just disappointing from the boxing fan standpoint, because a lot of people that watch this and just in general, they're big fans of the sport. They have an opinion on the matchups, but they don't really know the business. And then when you're a fan of, let's say, Spence, you see something, you're like, oh, you see Crawford said this and this in this interview, and Bomac said this and this in this interview. Oh, we got them with this. Or if it's the other way, oh, this guy said this and this. And it's more confirmation bias than anything. It's not really, you don't really get to the truth of it. You just get to kind of, the guy I like, it's the other person's fault. Or the guy I don't like, that's his fault. So you're saying Al Heyman is the responsible one for this, and you just don't see this fight ever happening. The finances don't.
If it does, it'll get to the point that they need each other, and they won't be at the top of the game anymore. They're top of their game anymore, I should say. They won't be in their primes.
Do you think they value, like, from a legacy standpoint, the fight? Because it is like a big legacy fight.
No, it is. But Crawford's a 3-division world champion. Without Spence, he's going to the Hall of Fame. I'm a Hall of Fame elector myself, so he's a first ballot guy, no matter what.
Of course, he's first. No, of course, but I'm saying to get that next level, the next status, because even if he beats Spence, it's not that big a fight to cause him to be the next to be another Canelo type or another Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury. It's not that big a fight. No, I don't mean from a business
commercial value is not there.
Legacy standpoint.
Yeah, it'll help his legacy. Yes.
Maybe 2-time undisputed, and especially if he, let's say, stops Spence, to be the first person to stop undefeated Spence. I mean, that would be. And if he's talking Charlo at 54, I mean, is that even a possibility? If Heyman's involved in that too?
No, because if Spence moves up, Heyman's not going to do that fight. If Spence moves up, if the 160-pound Charlo moves up, the 60-54 go to 60, and that will leave Errol open at junior middleweight to start trying to win belts at 154.
Right, and Charlo will go for the 160 vacant ones. The 54 Charlo, I'm saying, yeah. Okay, I guess it's just disappointing, from a boxing fan standpoint. I wanted to ask you about Joshua Fury, why that didn't happen. I mean, it seemed like, from my understanding, neither side really wanted it. Well, what do you think is the reason why that fight didn't happen on the December 3rd date?
You know what? I almost think it was a publicity stunt by both sides. It was too short a notice to do a fight that big. Think about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're so big they could sell out though anyway. So what do you mean it's too short notice?
It's still short notice to sell foreign TV. There's too many things there. It's just too short a notice.
Right. So I guess you're saying Tyson Fury was all just for the publicity to say that...
No, I think the other side was too. I almost think it was almost like a Playhouse 90. I really think they were both in on it, just to keep the publicity and drum it up for something going forward and see how big it is and they're both fighting basically tune-up bouts, aren't they?
Well, yeah. I mean, Yeah, they are. I mean, I guess. Are you disappointed as a fan of Fury or just a fan of boxing that Fury's fighting Chisora a third time when he fought
No,
him twice
no,
already? And it's like
no, he's entitled. He's
it's a
entitled.
defense. Yeah.
Yeah, he's entitled. The guy, Chisora just won a big fight. He's entitled to get a big fight.
Right, I guess the previous two, and as long as you get Usyk and Fury next year, then it really doesn't make that much of a difference.
Correct.
Do you have any doubts that fight gets made next year, assuming Tyson Fury beats Derek Chisora December 3rd?
I actually think there's a better shot of Anthony Joshua happening next with Tyson Fury because it's a much bigger fight than Usyk, money wise. And I think Usyk has a better will end up probably maybe fighting Wilder. I don't know if he's going to fight any reason take that chance to beat Fury's number one because they can't beat Fury anyways. They might as well go try and beat Usyk, and that's a big fight because he's got 3 of the 4 belts, and he beat Joshua twice. So that's a big fight too. I don't think he's going to fight. I just can't see him fighting Andy Ruiz, especially if he's not going to be the mandatory. Because Ruiz could probably almost be the mandatory for Fury without doing anything. So
he doesn't even have to beat Wilder to become the mandatory.
Nah, he probably won't. Probably won't. If Wilder pulls out, says no, they'll probably anoint him number one. Fury.
Right, I'm saying Ruiz to fight Fury. Yeah, I guess the question really goes: if you're Wilder, I mean, you could go the Usyk round for the belts. Maybe a Wilder Joshua fight though would be a more lucrative. I mean, that's still the bigger money fight than Wilder Usyk. I know there's no belts on the line, but would you think they would even be interested in that?
But the real bigger fight is Fury and Joshua. That's really
I guess you don't think the Undisputed has. I know it's still a bigger money fight, but you don't think that's something that Fury would be interested in?
Sure, he would be, but I also believe there's more money in a Joshua fight, and I think for the UK legacy, and the UK beating Joshua would be very big for Fury.
So you think that the next fight after these two fight in December is a Fury Joshua unification early next year?
It could well be because I think they were taking everybody's temperature by what they were doing recently. That's why I think it was a Playhouse 90. I think they were taking everybody's temperature.
Okay, and they're fighting around the same time, so it's the timing is there. Yeah, the timing is
what? All the earmarks are there. The handwriting is on the wall. Correct.
I guess just the perception of Fury not being willing to fight Usyk, but I mean, at the end of the day, if you fight Joshua, it's a bigger fight. Who cares? And you could always, do that.
Listen, if you can fight a Joshua and get all that money, nobody's going to complain about him not fighting Usyk at that moment. Now, once he beats Joshua, if he doesn't fight Usyk, then they'll complain.
Right, and I guess that's the same thing the other way around. I guess I've seen some people, they're saying that Usyk, he'll duck Wilder. I don't really see how he's ducking when Wilder just fought 2 weeks ago. I think that's a little bit extreme. But if they did fight Usyk and Wilder, who would you lean towards in that fight?
Usyk.
Yeah,
very light on his feet. He's 2 boxes too well. His ring IQ, the highest ring IQs in boxing right now are Fury, Usyk, and Bam Rodriguez. Those guys, and Shakur Stevenson. Those 4, those 4 have the biggest IQs by a long way over anybody else.
Okay, I'll throw Terence Crawford too, but okay.
No, Terence Crawford too, but he's not known for his ring IQ. He's known for his killer instinct. Those guys are known for their ring IQs.
Right. I guess the argument would be with the Wilder side would be that one punch, he's got the reach, you never know, that kind of thing. But do you think the Fury fights, I know you can't really gauge on the Helenius fight, but took a lot out of Wilder?
That never got hit. How can you tell Wilder's got left? The punch resistance is a big, huge part of being shot, and the other guy never landed a punch.
It's true. No, I mean, people are saying, some of the Wilder detractors, that it was he took a dive, Helenius. What do you think when people say that kind of stuff?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Why did he have to take a dive? A dive is a premeditated act that sometimes involves a conspiracy. He was supposed to lose. It just happened a little quicker than everybody thought. That's all.
Okay, I guess people would say they have to take a dive because Wilder. They want to build Wilder back up. He's a big star on the PBC banner.
He was knocking him out no matter what.
No, I
Taylor
agree.
made standing right up and down in front of him. He had no chin. He'd been knocked out by 2 non-punchers over the years. What, Dupas and Gerald Washington, I believe.
Yep.
Come on. It's
38.
Yeah. Come
He's
on.
at the end. If Wilder were to fight Ruiz, who would you favor in that one? Because I know that's people after that fight are all saying Wilder, but I don't think that's so simple. I'm not saying Ruiz would win, but Ruiz right now is more proven than Wilder because we don't know what Wilder's got left. Okay, but what's his name could get you out of there one punch, as we all know. You don't know, but I just figure that Ruiz has got a lot on the ball. He's got good hand speed himself. He's got good defense. He knows how to fight, and that's a tough fight. Okay, and last question about the heavyweight division. Do you think that Joshua and Wilder ever happens?
Yeah, I think there's a possibility.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And what would it take for that to happen? I guess would belts have to be a part of it? Would they have to lose so much that it would just be
either belts would have to be either a belt would have to be part or an eliminator status or some kind of status of some type going forward besides just a win.
Who would you fancy in that fight? Because I have my answer, but I'm curious to know what you would say.
I think, even though I don't know what Wilder has got left, I think he's a little faster, and he's more of an attack mode all the time, and I can see him beating Joshua, because I don't think Joshua has a desire. I think being worth $200 million these days has put him over the top of the word desire, and I don't think he's got the desire, that hunger in the belly anymore. And I honestly think Wilder still does. Wilder's a much more competitive human being than Joshua is.
No question.
Joshua's the kind of guy you walk into a bar and somebody says, "Hey, Anthony, I got a free sandwich for you." He's sitting down with the guy. Joshua's the kind of guy, Wilder's the kind of guy he wants to walk in and tear off heads and shit necks. There's a little different mentality there.
Okay, and I guess you as a Hall of Fame voter, based on what Joshua and Wilder have done in their careers, would you, as of today, vote them in for the Boxing Hall of Fame?
Joshua and Wilder? Joshua, yes, for sure. Wilder, I want to see what he does furthermore.
That's it, for sure. For Joshua, for sure? For
sure, 100%. 100%.
The 3 belts,
3 belts, 90,000 people. I mean, that's why Charles Gatti got it, because he was such a mega draw.
So, right, you're not just looking at the. I guess when you vote, you only look at the.
He was the face of UK boxing.
Right, he was. No, yeah, he definitely.
Yeah, George Chuvalo was the face of Canadian boxing. He's not in the Hall of Fame, but that was a different era. So today he'd be a Hall of Famer.
UK boxing is a bigger market. Yeah, huge market.
Huge.
Yeah, he did a lot. I think I don't like people. They try to make it like, I know Josh.
Let me run this by you, Joey. Let me run this by you. What draws 95,000 people in America besides the occasional college football game, okay, and NASCAR?
You're saying in person or just in general?
In person.
What draws 90,000 people?
95,000 people in the United States. Nothing. NASCAR, and the occasional college football game. Think about that. And over there, all their big fights draw 90,000 people. Their biggest fights. Tells you a lot, doesn't it?
Yes. Oh, actually, one more question about the heavyweight. You said Joe Joyce, you guys, the 3rd best heavyweight. You think he is the biggest threat to beat Tyson Fury right now?
Yes, sir.
I agree, because of the size and just the tenacity,
style, everything. He knows how to fight. He's got a very high ring IQ.
Yeah.
It's just he's just a special kind of guy. I mean, Wilder's got no ring IQ at all. He's like a big 0. But he can punch.
I still think his ring IQ is higher than AJ's because I think he knows how to set you up. and
Nah,
survive.
he just swings wild, and that's why he's Wilder. Swings
Yeah, well,
wild.
it's a fitting name. Okay, I want to get to Canelo. He had the two fights this year. Obviously, the loss to Bivol, but I think people overreact to that. I mean, it was a light heavyweight for one, and
The style was wrong. The guy was
it
moving
was the wrong
too.
pick. It was the wrong
Yeah,
matchup.
it was too tall, moving his feet around too much, in and out and around. And every time Canelo really tried to lay lumber down on him, he got tied up, or the guy moved away. The guy was smart. He was very ring smart, and it cost Canelo a fight, a victory.
Do you think they thought that fight was like an easy fight? Like was that a cherry pick gone wrong, or
No,
did they?
no, no, no. I knew from somebody that had talked to Reynoso, that was his friendly Reynoso. Reynoso said this is a real fight. Anything can happen. So they weren't positive they would win. But it's a funny thing. When you're getting paid $50 million a fight, you have to fight people. You can't fight Humpty Dumpty. So every time
Yeah.
out, you got to fight somebody real.
Now, I was telling someone that Canelo, he doesn't have the luxury. I mean, the luxury is he makes $50 million a fight, but he doesn't have the luxury of taking a tune-up fight. Every fight has to be a big event. He can't just fight a tune-up. I mean, he fought Yildirim, but
Dream was a
fight.
tune-up fight. Dream was like a tune-up fight when he fought Dream. That he got 10 million for that. So if you want to make 50 million, you got to fight the real guys.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And I guess then you had the Triple G fight. Some people are speculating that he may not want to fight Benavidez in the near future. What do you think of that?
He's already said that.
Well,
nobody's speculating.
Okay. Well, why do you
He's
think that is?
Said it.
Why do you think he wouldn't want to fight David Benavidez?
Well, he says it's because of the Mexican thing, and that's why he hasn't fought him or Zorro Ramirez yet. I think that he thinks he's going to get robbed in a PBC fight, in a tough fight, close fight. He won't get a decision. He knew he was going to beat Plant. That was a no-brainer. That was like taking candy from a baby. But in a Benitez fight, and David Benavidez fight, which figures to be a tough fight, he's worried about getting robbed, I'm sure.
Right. I guess that's that's really the question. But I mean, does he fight Charlo? Does he not go defend his titles at super middle? Well, where's he go from there?
There's Zach Parker, and the winner is Zach Parker and John Ryder, which will probably be Zach Parker, who will be the WBO interim champ. That'll be his mandatory. That's a big fight over in the UK. That's huge.
Okay, so, I guess I guess if he wants to continue to be the biggest guy, could he just keep not fighting these other big names at 168?
Yeah, because he's Canelo.
Okay. I mean, it's interesting because he always says that he fights for legacy, but I guess you're saying it's not. He's fighting.
No, he has fought for legacy. He's been undisputed. Past, He's been undisputed super middleweight champ, middleweight champ, junior middleweight champ. Sure, he fights for legacy, but it is a business too.
It is a business too, and Canelo said he doesn't want to fight Mexican fighters, but I remember not too long ago he fought Chavez Jr. So I mean,
well, that's why he doesn't want to fight Mexicans. That's the point. He got too much criticism. That's what happened
because of beating Chavez Jr.
Well, just because he beat a Mexican. Wasn't, matter of fact, he was Chavez Jr., I don't believe, but just beating a Mexican, period. Like, let's go pick on someone else.
I mean, first of all, Benavidez is not even, he's Mexican American. And secondly, they just fight the best. I mean, the best should fight the best. It shouldn't,
I know. I agree. You're preaching to the converter because I agree with you. I'm telling you what he's thinking, not what I'm thinking.
So you don't think he goes near Charlo, Benavidez, Andre?
Oh, he might fight Charlo because he'll wipe that Charlo right off the face of the earth. That 60-pound Charlo, he'll wipe him right out.
You don't think it's a competitive fight?
No, he's got guys a gutless pig.
What about him and Andre?
Well, that won't happen.
I know it won't happen, but if that wouldn't be competitive.
He'd run him out of the ring. He's too strong and too tenacious for Andrade. Andrade's too passive of a person.
Right. I guess you're saying the only person you think that's a real threat is Benavidez, or you even think Benavidez is even a threat?
He's a threat, but I would favor Canelo to beat him.
Yeah, I favor Canelo to beat everyone at 168 right now. I guess people had mentioned his gas tank's a little down, and he didn't stop Triple G, but he still won clearly. I mean, it wasn't a competitive fight.
It was what I call one-sided. I'm sorry, competitively one-sided.
Yeah, and the cards were, I thought, a little bit ridiculous. But okay, I guess that's the thing. Canelo, I guess you're saying he just also is not. Is he worried about losing his position if he loses to Benavidez or something like that? Like,
yeah, his whole status gets blown up. At least if he loses to a light heavyweight, he can go down and back down where he belongs. Well, I took a shot at greatness, and and he's too big for me. But he can't say that if he fights Benavidez. So no, that won't happen.
Do you think it's also because of the Mexican thing? He can't lose to a Mexican fighter?
It's a whole bunch of reasons. There's most of the time a guy doesn't want to fight a guy for multiple reasons, and you can't talk him into it. If it's only one reason, maybe you can talk him into it. But I think it's multiple reasons.
Okay. Moving on, we got the fight this week: Lomachenko, Jermaine Ortiz. What do you think is going to happen in this fight? What do you think is the plan at lightweight going forward with Lomachenko and with the belts?
I'm going to try to make Loma and Haney, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I really don't. We'll see if Loma looks real good this weekend. You won't see the fight. Haney's won't fight him. Bill Haney will make that decision. Now we don't want that fight. So
I'm assuming I'm assuming you think Lomachenko is going to win this fight this week rather easily from the tone you're saying.
He should. He should. The other guy's a club fighter.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. I mean, and I guess you're saying Haney will go to 140 and the belts will become vacant?
Could. We don't know. Could. Yeah. Haney's having trouble making weight. He had real trouble making the weight over in Australia. Tough battle. So we'll see what happens. But I believe that he's bound to go to 40. If it's not the next fight, it'll be the fight after that.
Right, and if he went to 40, that fight would still be with Top Rank. Do you think there's a possibility he would fight Teofimo Lopez, or do you think it would just be like just a defense?
In his first fight at 40, he's going to test the waters and fight a guy where he makes 140, see how strong he is and how good he looks, and then they'll fight some better fighters. I don't think he's going to just jump into a fight. Even though I don't think much of Teofimo Lopez, and I think that Haney beats him. So
okay, I was about to ask you think Haney beats Lopez? I was going to ask you, do you think Teofimo just was a hiccup versus Kambosos, or you don't think he's a great fighter? Because he did beat Lomachenko and Comey.
I think that Teofimo is physically strong and can punch. He's stump armed. He doesn't move well on his feet as far as balance and stuff like that, and I think he lacks in certain in a lot of polish. He's more crude than he is polished, and I think against the top fighters like the Shakur Stevenson types, the Haney types, I think that says a lot right there.
Okay, because I was going to ask you that. Do you think Devin Haney is a great fighter? Or do you think he's just a good fighter who's fortunate to be able to fight Undisputed versus Kambosos, who's not a great fighter, but a good fighter?
Too early to say. He's really good from what I can see, but I wouldn't use the term greatness right now, beating a guy like a Kambosos who is, a one-night wonder.
Right, and he was.
It would be like basing Holyfield's career off beating Buster Douglas.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair. Would you consider Shakur Stevenson great already?
Already, absolutely. Oh my God! Right now, I believe the great fighters in the game, the great ones, are Tyson Fury, Shakur Stevenson, Bam Rodriguez, Jamel Charlo, the 54-pounder, and Terence Crawford and Inoue. Those are right now the great. Maybe somebody else if you mentioned that. Maybe I meant Usyk. Yeah, Usyk. Yes. These are the great fighters.
The Charlo one would be surprising. You'd say Charlo even with the loss, or maybe even possibly 2 losses.
Who, Charlo?
Yeah, because I mean
he's lost to Castano now. He's a great athlete, and he does well in rematches because he's a better athlete always. So he can make the adjustments that the other guy can't. So yes, I would call him great.
You would say he's a greater fighter than Errol Spence?
I think he's got a better resume than Errol. Yeah.
No, he's undisputed. Yeah, that's true. I guess a lot of the people who are big Devin Haney fans, they would wonder, why would you say Shakur's a great, but Devin's not? Because a lot of people, they look at him very similar, slick, good boxer.
Because
but he doesn't have the power.
Shakur does subtle things. I'm sorry, what was that?
Both guys are very good defensively, but they don't have like knockout power. They don't knock guys out. So people will say Haney's undisputed. Shakur didn't even do that. So
because you can see subtle things that Shakur does that Haney doesn't do that make a big difference if they were to fight head to head.
Okay, he's much better, I think, fighting on the front foot. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, yes. Shakur is much, can walk you down. He can outbox you. He can fight. Look what he did the last fight. He fought on the inside. I mean, he can just fight. Period. You know, he's a natural born fighter.
Would you say Lomachenko is a great fighter, or do you think he was overhyped a few years ago?
He was a great fighter. He was not overhyped. He's overhyped now if they still think you're going to get the same Lomachenko you once did.
Do you think Lomachenko would beat Haney if they fought next at 135?
It's a toss of the coin. It depends how strong Haney would be at the weight. I don't know if he can make that weight again and be strong.
Anyway, he's got a big size. Yeah, it's true. Would he be drained? Yeah, that was the problem with Lopez when he fought Kambosos. I mean, he looked a little drained. Okay,
very drained.
All right, just one last question: who's Rick Glaser's top 5 pound for pound right now? Just yours, not based on anyone driving, just what you believe.
I'd have to say Crawford. I'd have to say Inoue. I'd have to say Bam Rodriguez.
Already?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Guy. Did you hear what Lomachenko said about him the other night? That interview?
Yeah, he said. I mean, he saw him on the Triple G undercard, and he's like, "This guy's crazy."
That's all you need to hear. The great fighters do little subtle things that separate themselves from guys that are very good, excellent fighters. The greats, there's little subtle things they do. Bam does those little subtle things, and that's what Crawford does, and that's what Shakur does, and that's the difference. That's the difference. I mean, what's the difference between an A+ and an A and an A- and a B+ and all that? Those little subtle things and those different, levels of fighting. That's what makes these guys great. I mean, look at Fury when he fought Wilder. He just out everything away. He spun him around. He was out thinking him all the way. It's just little subtle things that they do. They know when to push off. They know when to hold. I mean, it's just a different. They're natural born fighters. People always have asked me who would win when they were both undefeated between Fury and Joshua. Even after Joshua had the loss to Ruiz, and he won the rematch, who do you think would win? I said Fury, and people said why? I said because he's a natural born fighter. His father named him Tyson after Mike Tyson. If his father wanted him to be a super intelligent and an intellectual, he would have named him Einstein Fury. Okay, he was born to be a fighter. Anthony Joshua was a manufactured fighter. He was not born to be a fighter, and he's a manufactured fighter. What's that?
He's an athlete who converted into boxing later on.
Yep. He's a manufactured fighter, where Fury is a born fighter, and that's a big difference. But Bam Rodriguez is a born fighter. Okay, it's very, very rare.
Sorry to cut you off. So you said you had Crawford, Inoue, Bam. Because for me, it's Crawford, Usyk, Inoue, Canelo, and Spence.
Yeah.
I'm going also off accomplishment. So.
Shakur would be 4, and 5 would be Usyk, probably. I think those may be my 5.
Okay, I guess you're going more off of ability than proven resume. Is that?
No, I'm going off of the little subtle things that I like that they do that will outslick the other fighter. Notice one thing, okay, about they all have something unique about them. Okay, 4 out of 5 have brilliant ring IQs. Inoue has incredible power. I mean, you got to have something special about you to be in that category. That elite category.
No question about it. I mean, and do you think who do you think's the bigger puncher, Inoue or Tank, pound for pound wise? I was having this debate with somebody.
In a way, not even a contest, not even comparable.
Yeah,
Tank's not knocking people out 1 or 2 rounds. This guy's crushing people.
That's true. That's true. He is. I mean, he knocked out.
And he's crushing good fighters. He's crushing good fighters.
Do you think he would be able to beat Fulton if he moved up to 122?
Yes.
I mean, that's a big.
Absolutely. Yep. And I'm a big fan of Stefan Fulton. He's one of the few PBC guys I really like, besides Jermell Charlo. And those are like the only 2 that I really appreciate. I just think that he's everything, too fast, too strong. He, Stefan Fulton is good on his feet. He's slick and fast, and he's got a high ring IQ. But this guy comes like a freight train, and I just don't think Fulton punches hard enough to slow this bastard down.
I was telling someone this. It reminds me though of that situation you said. He's fast on his feet. He has a good ring IQ. He's a good boxer. Similar to Canelo Bivol, where when Canelo moved up, people underestimated the size difference. You don't think that may be a factor, the size and the IQ of Fulton?
No, Inoue keeps moving up and bringing that power with him and the speed with him. So no, I don't think that's an issue.
Yeah. Okay. That's a fight. Do you think that fight do you think Haney would even do it?
He might not have. They might not really have much of a choice because he's going to be the mandatory, and in the WBO, he'll be the mandatory. And he'll probably be the mandatory in the BC or the BA2. He'll probably be the mandatory in all of them.
You're saying even without fighting at 122 one time?
Oh, yeah. The rules of the WBO call for it. You're a WBO champion and you move up in weight without losing your title. You give your title up voluntarily to move up in weight. You become number 1 automatically.
I guess Fulton could vacate, or he could move up to higher weight. That kind of thing.
He could move up, but I think he's going to be. He has another belt too, doesn't he? Have like a BC belt.
He's 3, I think.
Right. Well, whatever. He'll be mandatory in a bunch of them.
Yeah, that's a good fight. Hopefully, they can make it happen. If Rick Glaser had one fight in boxing that he can make happen, what would it be? In current boxing, obviously.
I know you're not going to want to hear this, but Spence and Crawford.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate. I guess you're saying it's like a Bo Lewis situation. It just never happens.
I sadly to say, I don't think it's going to happen. But other than that, the only fight I'd like to see would be Shakur and Haney.
Okay, I would have thought you'd say Shakur and Tank because you want to see a punch of his boxer. You're saying two boxers. I guess you think Shakur would win easily.
Shakur would play with Tank. Play with him.
I agree.
Play with him.
I think Tank and Haney's a 50-50, but I think Shakur and Tank
I don't think it's 50-50. I think it's 60-40, but I think that Tank has no ring IQ. He's like a Wilder type.
Okay. And he's how much longer do you think Tank they could keep putting these level of opposition in with him?
They can't. Yeah. They're not doing any pay-per-view buys. They're papering the house. It's all phony to try to keep the charade going.
You think Tank fights Ryan Garcia anytime soon?
I don't think it's going to be next for Ryan Garcia, but I think because how could he fight January 7th? He's got that trial coming up. Tank does December 12th, and I don't think I can't see the judge delaying that thing because of the fact that he wouldn't let him take a plea. When you don't let him take a plea, they're not going to let him move the trial to accommodate a fight after domestic abuse charge. That judges get abused by the public.
No, he's great. No, it's a. Do you think if they did do that fight, it would be at 135 or 140? I mean, because I know he's having problems with the weight, Ryan Garcia.
I don't know. I don't know.
Who do you lean towards in that one? Because for me, and most people, I feel like it's like 90% of people say Tank, and they're not giving Ryan Garcia any respect.
I like Ryan Garcia because he's got a 5-inch height advantage, and a huge reach advantage, and he's fast and he's punching down at a shorter guy. Ryan Davis got too many advantages in that fight, including Ryan Garcia's got a good ring IQ, which Tank doesn't have.
The mentality, though, I think that's what a lot of people question with Ryan. The fighter's mentality.
He's got the mentality. Okay. He does.
Yeah. Do you see Tank being this pay-per-view star down the line, or you think he loses before he even gets to that point?
He's not a crossover fighter. Understand something. It's not about boxing fans. When you talk about pay-per-view star, it's about the general sporting public. Okay? My 3 brother-in-laws, which is my wife's brother and my 2 sisters' husbands, they don't know who Tank Davis is. They know Canelo. They know Tyson Fury. They know Anthony Joshua. They know Wilder. They don't know Tank Davis.
Not yet. I'm saying that's
no, and they don't know Errol Spence. And they don't know Errol Spence. They do know Terence Crawford because he fought on ESPN so much.
Well, the ESPN is a big. I mean, that makes a big difference. But
big tool,
I guess,
big tool.
Yeah, out of those lightweights right now, who do you
and
think
that's
has
why,
the best
and that's why Jared Anderson, if he keeps winning, is going to be a star because he keeps fighting on ESPN. That's big. It's big.
You think? Okay, I was about to ask. Okay, who do you think out of the lightweights could be will be the crossover guy if there is one? At the current lightweights. If not Tank.
Ryan Garcia, if he's a lightweight or junior welterweight, I think Shakur could be. He's got a great smile. He's got a nice personality. Cool guy. I've been around him a couple times. I thought he was a cool guy. Yeah. Comes across as a people person. He's had a couple of hiccups along the way, but overall, he's very personable.
Do you think his lack of power would hurt him in terms of marketing wise?
I don't know. Floyd didn't have any power at 147, and Pernell Whitaker didn't have any power at 47. They were stars.
I guess with Floyd, people he was like more a villain type. With Shakur, he got a smile and stuff. Like he didn't really talk so much trash. Maybe that's the fear. What you're saying, you're not big on Teofimo, you're not big on Tank, and I guess Haney, you're kind of wishy-washy still.
Tank. I mean, Haney's got the pedigree as far as the traits to be great. Whether he does become great, I don't know, but he's excellent right now. He showed good balls, to go over Australia, especially the first time. That's the unknown for him. And that took a lot of courage. But you notice Bob Arum was over there with him because I understood he wasn't going to take the fight unless Arum went. So there you go.
Meaning what? He's afraid of it. What do you mean by that?
He was afraid of getting robbed.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that was a possibility, but to me, he won so clearly both times. It would be like he left no room for robbery. I mean, it would be just insane if they robbed him in either. I mean, especially the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And you think Jared Anderson, out of the heavyweights, the once I guess Fury, Joshua, Wilder, Usyk, in that new era of heavyweights, Anderson, they got Torres over there, top ranked. Dubois, I know, is in the UK. Even though he lost, he still is a big puncher. He still is a threat. Who do you see being that guy in the heavyweight division? I know it's early and obviously there's a lot of projection, but still.
Too early. There's Frank Sanchez, but who knows how old Frank Sanchez is? I just haven't done one of my famous Luis Ortiz, Guillermo Rigondeaux investigations.
Well, you said Ortiz is 50 years old, right?
53 or 54. I got to look. Whatever they say is he's 10 years old.
10 years older.
I know that.
Wow. And he's still, I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive that he was fighting at world level at 50, 49 years old.
Well, it's very impressive. It's impressive
Wait,
that they lied. They lied, thought they would get away with it with me around.
and Rigondeaux's the same situation?
No, 5 years he lies by.
Okay, so that's yeah, that's not so crazy. But what's the motive? I guess they won't get the big fights if they say they're older. Like,
no, when they came over, they wouldn't have got financial
backing.
They wouldn't have got the financial backing.
Yeah.
So that's what that's all about. Now, listen, I got a great suggestion for your show. Behind you, you got to have a big banner that says Joey Talks Boxing, and you got to, with like a gold background with red gloves or something cool against that wall there, and that would be really cool. Joey Talks Boxing.
I'm gonna do it. You mean like an actual thing, or get like a
banner,
just a virtual background?
A big banner, yeah, big banner. It look really nice. With boxing gloves on and Joey Talks Boxing.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna try to do it. All right, Rick. Anything you want to close out with, or you covered everything?
Anybody wants to follow me on Twitter? It's at Real Rick Glaser 1. That's GLASER at Real Rick Glaser 1. There's a lot of fake Rick Glaser accounts out there, but this one has about 5,300 followers. The other ones have a couple hundred. And I came on in January of 2020, and just want to say hello, thank you, goodbye to everybody, and Joey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. Looking forward to being on your show again in the future, and I wish you all success with your podcast. You ask great questions, and you deserve great answers.
Appreciate it, and the boxing community appreciates your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
All right.